G'day and welcome to Season 3 of Harvestable by AgriDigital. Join co-founders Emma Weston and Ben Reed in this 8-part mini-series as they delve into the transformative power of data in agribusiness, exploring AI's impact, supply chain transparency, and the future of data-driven grain management. In this episode, we're thrilled to be joined by Tress Walmsley, CEO of Intergrain.
Welcome back, everyone. So this is episode 3 in season 3, 2023. Lots of threes there of Harvestable, and harvest is well underway across quite a bit of East Coast Australia. But we're going to kind of take a step back away from harvest for a moment and really go with the theme that we're looking at this year, data and AI, in a related area, and that is around plant breeding. So I have the wonderful Tress Walmsley, CEO at Intergrain, with me today to talk all things data, AI, and plant breeding. Welcome, Tress.
Thanks, Emma.
Thanks for making time. I know it is always busy at Intergrain. Can you talk a little bit about your role at Intergrain and who Intergrain is for anyone that doesn't know?
Sure. So my role is CEO, and Intergrain is a Australian national wheat, barley and oat plant breeding business. Our headquarters are here in Perth, but we run national programs for all of our 3 crops. So and plant breeding, I suppose, is a long R&D time. So those growers who are sitting on headers are looking at the new varieties that they're assessing. In general, for us, it takes about 10 years to bring one of those varieties to market. So a long process time.
Yeah, really interested in digging into that and how data and AI are, positively as well as maybe negatively even impacting that. And so just in terms of the history, I guess, of how data is being used in plant breeding, could you just take us a little bit of a potted history around the types of data points that I guess are collected, how they're used to analyse and bring a new variety to market?
Sure. So, plant breeding is actually all about producing a lot of data. And so that data, as growers could imagine, comes from our big field trial program. So at Intergrain, we've got like 58 trial sites across Australia where we're basically experimenting and testing all of the lines that are in the production pipeline. So on those, we take yield data. We take things like heading data, time to maturity, disease data. Then in addition to that, we also do a lot of quality work. So we get a lot of quality information about all of the material. We have dedicated disease testing sites where we particularly say, like, one of those sites is in Carnarvon, Western Australia, which is outside of the wheat belt area, but we will take one generation of all of our material to Carnarvon every year and actually infect it with various diseases so that we can get a really good screen. So, lots of data generation, but I think it's actually a really exciting time for us in the plant breeding industry. It's almost a bit like the next green revolution is about to occur because we just have so much more data being generated, and that comes, I suppose, from some of the new scientific technologies that we have at our fingertips now.
Yeah. So there's a lot of data that was already just inherent in, the breeding industry anyway. Now there's, huge amounts more data in terms of data points, but also just, I guess, the time lapse between data points is, maybe getting shorter. Is that right?
It is indeed. And speed in a plant breeding cycle is really important. But I suppose just to step back, Emma, and to give a little bit of context, and this is one of my fun facts that I often talk about, is that wheat is actually 5 times more genetically complex than a human.
Yeah, right.
And that still is very staggering to me and mind-boggling. But I suppose we can either treat that complexity as a challenge or an opportunity.
Yeah.
And up until now, we haven't really understood all of the genetic makeup of the crops that we're working in. But now, just like we've mapped the human genome, we're mapping we've got the wheat genome mapped, the barley, the oat. And so we already, I suppose, have at our fingertips all of this new information and understanding about that complexity that we can now turn into the future opportunity.
I actually just have so many questions I want to dig into. This is such an like an exciting and it's a complex topic, but then there's also just so many areas that you can latch onto. Even as a layperson who's not involved directly in the plant breeding industry, one of the things that I'm wondering about, I've got so many questions, as I said, but I'm going to try and limit them so that you can answer them. We've only got so much time together, of course. But something I'm interested in is, how do you and your colleagues at Intergrain, as well as probably around the world, get access to some of this universal data like a wheat genome map? How does that actually work? Because Intergrain didn't map the wheat genome, I'm assuming, but needs access to that data in order to then produce the next set of varieties that are fit for purpose in Australia.
Yeah, so there's multiple like public good data repositories that we can tap into. And
Yep.
so like some of those are where you would go to basically have access to the whole wheat genome information. There are genetic libraries that you can go and tap into. So there you can actually even ask for the physical germplasm and ask for the data card that comes with it. And then one of our biggest sources is actually just researchers doing their great job of publishing their information. And so at Intergrain, we have one full-time employee whose basic job is to manage the engagement with external researchers. And Dinny is basically constantly scanning world journal publications so that she can make an assessment of, yes, this is relevant information that needs to come into Intergrain.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It's actually a really good segue into one of the other questions that I had in my long list of questions that we won't get to everything today, but and that is around the types of employees who are working with all of this data. I mean, does that mean Intergrain employs data analysts, not just plant breeders and scientists?
Correct. Yes. So we have a full-time statistician. We have a genomics data scientist. We have research managers. We have a cereal chemist. We have a number of people working in our grain quality lab who every day are baking breads or making noodles or making soft wheats and sponges and things like that. And they've all come from a food science background. So most people in the Intergrain business do have a science background, but it could be science with a mathematics bent or majored in genetics or things like that. So yeah, it's really varied. And then in addition to that, we have our marketing team, and it's really important that the marketing team understand a lot about the data that they're using to sell the products as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much more spotlight that is put on claims that are made at point of sale, right? So, being able to have the data to back up those claims must be a vital part of what Intergrain and other plant breeders are doing.
It is really important, and that data integrity is paramount to what we do. I mean, you have to obtain and maintain trust through the data that you're producing for your varieties.
And I guess that trust, is of course in the data, but it's also in the brand of Intergrain itself, right? There's a relationship that is really important in terms of Intergrain as an organization, as a trusted entity in the supply chain.
Yes, and I mean, I think one of the key things, particularly say when we're recruiting for staff, is we're really strong on recruiting for staff that have a passion about the industry, because we're not just, ramming out the next variety. We're actually genuinely thinking about the bigger picture of what we deliver, not just to, the Australian growers, but also to the global community. I mean, next plant varieties actually have a really important place in things like sustainability and tackling climate change. I mean, if we can bring a product that actually, flowers well in high temperatures and doesn't get hit by heat, that can have a global impact. So, I think many of the team at Intergrain have that in the back of their mind when they come to work every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, with that in mind and thinking about, the team that you have, the work that's in front of you, what are some of the things that, that team can do today that, perhaps couldn't be done a decade or even 5 years ago because of some of the differences in technology or the advances in the way that we can, organize and analyze across data sets?
Yeah, and I think this is where AI does really come into it.
Yeah.
So, now we can basically make predictions. So we're what we call predictive breeding. So we can use all of the past data on the known lines that we've got to then make predictions about if we cross line A and B, what is that actually going to produce. So we basically can have decisions about then making a cross or planting the material without ever sending it out into the field.
Yeah.
The other way that I think it's really making a difference is not only just in genotyping and genomics, but phenomics. And so by phenomics here, I'm talking about the use of drones to take all of this imagery. And so, the data that is being captured there is phenomenal. And we're still at the point where we're gathering a lot of data that we still, I don't think, have the benefited from the true value of it yet, but
Yeah.
AI is absolutely going to help us with, I suppose, analyzing and turning that data into knowledge, because it's just way beyond the human mind capacity.
Yeah, and I think we see really similar things at AgriDigital when you're looking at so much cross supply chain data coming from so many different sources, actually understanding signal and noise is really important, and then being able to transfer that to a value proposition that meets what your stakeholders are after. I guess one of the big challenges for you and the team at Intergrain is that you're often doing this with a very, very long-term view. I suppose you're trying to do something today for maybe 5 years, or you even said 10 years hence. So do you think that AI will therefore accelerate that time period and effectively bring varieties to market quicker?
Yes, I think it will do two things. Is it will definitely shorten the product development pipeline.
Yeah.
So on average, we have a pipeline that's like 8 years. That would be our standard average. Our fastest is 6. And, I think that you probably won't get it shorter than that, because we still have to do quality assessment and things like that. So there's always going to be a certain number of years that you need to be in the field. But it will definitely decrease that time. The other is that when we use this information to actually shift the bell-shaped curve, so we can actually shift an entire population to the way that we want that to be heading. So if we are testing 100,000 lines out there in the field, and we would generally only be keeping, say, 10% of it, hopefully now that when we go out with 100,000, they're all
get a better hit rate, basically. Yeah, that's so interesting, and I would love to keep talking and delving into it, but we do try and keep these to bite-sized chunks. But I just want to thank you, Tress, for jumping on, sharing what Intergrain is doing, demystifying some of, I guess, the way that plant breeding has evolved and continues to evolve, and the way that data and AI has been used to improve the product to market and the product in market itself. So thanks so much, Tress. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you for tuning in to Harvestable by AgriDigital. We hope you found value in today's conversation. Join us next week as we delve deeper into the world of agribusiness and data. Until then, stay curious and keep harvesting insights.